On to the chairperson of the Albertine, Mr. Oriema, that yes, something is being done, and as the Civil Society Coalition on Oil and Gas, we have held a couple of capacity building sessions with farmers, with a couple of entrepreneurs in the Choli sub-region, where you come from, and a couple of other areas where we've talked about issues of standards. What are the standards that they should be looking at to comply in order to harness some of the opportunities that they are in the sector? So it's not something that is just being done in Kampala, but we're trying, and we shall get there.
On local government participation, with the specific reference to the Kirama Vocational Institute in Buliisa. Now, the ministry has a system of bringing such institutions on board through licensing and registration. And at the local government, it's their duty to ensure that these institutions meet the required minimum standards of setting up an educational institution. Of course, there is the curriculum as well as trained instructors. And of course, the examination system does not exclude them. Then maybe the other one is on the ministry's readiness. I already said, we are not going to start from zero in terms of training. We already have people who are trained, and we've been doing it for a long time. All they require is retooling, orienting them to bring them to the level acceptable by the international oil companies. Time frame, as I said, by December, we'll be in a position to train in partnership with City and Guilds and Opito to start with.
Governance, Honorable Vonje, I agree, and that's why my conclusion was touching on the whole question of governance, transparency, accountability. You can have good laws, but if the practice is different, then you get it wrong. A country like Angola, which has registered some positives, there is a debate. There is a debate on participation. The elites, particularly in the ruling party, seem to have captured the sector. So the concern is, how do we open it more that you can have more participation? So the issue of governance is very critical. Now, on the role of the private sector, it is in the private sector where we find organized groups, small, medium enterprises. And the whole idea of having enterprise centers like it has happened elsewhere is to prepare these small enterprises, small and medium enterprises, to participate in procure in supply of goods and services. Those of you who have got the policy brief, you'll find the testimony of one of the small entrepreneurs from Angola who was prepared through enterprise centers and was able to participate and supply to big companies. So definitely the private sector has a very critical role to play. And even the communities, they have to be organized. There's no wake up and supply your tomatoes to the oil sector. You need to prepare yourself. You need to have a good breeds of the tomatoes. People will buy the tomatoes that will attract them. So we have to prepare these communities. Thank you.
As we speak now, Opito is in the country assessing two institutions, a private sector and then UPIC. So it is already a development in that aspect of skilling Ugandans or certifying institutions.
I want to pick on the advice that Eileen has just given us. So much deregulation by the state. Yes, the private sector has a role to play, but I think the government needs to be careful not to allow just companies access to the local farmers, these communities alone. You need to be there, and we have seen this mistake if you allow this, if the government treats and allow from its responsibility and allows the private sector completely, you can also get the negative results. But I also was keen following the PS, Dr. Nassari. If you are going to create about 111 technical schools, and now there are more districts coming, then I was wondering where we will stop. So again, in terms of actually rationalizing our resources. The other point is the authority that you talked about, which is in Ofin. Maybe it's not necessary. You talked of the skills development authority. It's like districtalization, authorization, and perhaps, of course, it may not lead so much. Perhaps coordination, interagency, interinstitutional coordination would just help us rather than creating institutions that may not deliver, since oil and gas is going to be exhausted, and then you have white elephants, and you need a lot of money to decommission them. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. Part of this symposium, which has been organized by the JPPs, that is the joint venture partners, Total, Oil, and CNOOC. Thank you very much. Also organized by Accord, thank you Accord, and the Civil Society Coalition on Oil and Gas in Uganda, the Cisco. Thank you very much. Accord and Cisco are supported by the Democratic Governance Facility, that is DGF, and DGF today is represented here by Madame Robina Kajwenge. Would you want to stand up for recognition so that we know you? You are the reason we're here. Thank you very much for your support. We do appreciate that. It is their support that has enabled us to be here. At this moment, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the Honorable Minister-designate. A warm hand clap as he comes aboard.
Maybe you may be wondering why I want to go. The government is just being formed, and there are a lot of activities in Parliament. And some of us who are members of Parliament, at a certain hour, we might be engaged in voting. And all those who are not ex-officio members are voters. And I'm sure my colleagues, members of Parliament I see here, will be also moving away very soon with me. Activities are there. The organizers of this event, the permanent secretaries, executive directors, and your technical staff from all ministries and agencies, district leaders, the licensed companies, representatives from Oil and Gas Service Providers Association, private sector and civil society, members of the media, invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, I welcome you all to this dialogue, whose theme is moving beyond the industrial baseline survey and enhancing local participation in oil and gas sector. I commend the Civil Society Coalition on Oil and Gas, together with Halifax Coalition for Development and Environment, for organizing this timely event, which brings together industry players at the time the sector is transitioning to the development and production phase. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development indeed recognizes the importance of all stakeholders for the development of oil and gas industry. It is for this reason that we pledge to continue supporting and engaging all stakeholders, as this will significantly contribute to the positive development of the oil and gas industry. It is suffice to say that the oil and gas sector has a potential to play a significant role in the development of the economy of a country, like it has done in over 100 oil and gas producing countries in the world, including the top 10 donor countries like the United States, Japan, Germany, France, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Italy, Canada, and Norway. It is therefore the backbone of many economies in the world. You are aware that the first commercial discovery of oil in Uganda was made in 2006. Since then, 21 oil and gas discoveries have since been made, and the country is now progressing towards development and production. A total of 120 exploration and appraisal wells have been drilled on the different prospects identified by seismic data. Out of these, 106 wells have encountered petroleum in the subsurface. This represents a drilling success rate of 88%, which is the highest worldwide. So the rate is very, very high. Some people say even 5% is good enough. It is estimated that the in-place volume of petroleum in the country to date is over 6.5 billion barrels of oil equivalent. These resources are sufficient to support commercial oil production in the country. It is important to note that the investment in seismic surveys, exploration and appraisal drilling increased from US dollars 50 million in 2006 to US dollars 3.2 billion by the end of 2015, and is projected to go over 3.4 billion US dollars mark in 2016. This investment has been significant in taking the sector forward and is expected to increase during the phases of field development and production, development of a refinery and attendant infrastructure and pipelines. This next phase is expected to happen within the next 4 to 5 years and attracting additional investment for approximately $20 billion. A new licensing round is also due to be completed later this year, with unexpected estimated investment expenditure of about $2.3 billion over the next 5 years. Government recognizes the benefits in the oil and gas sector and can be realized through active direct and indirect participation of Ugandan citizens and companies in the petroleum subsector and auxiliary services. In view of this, government expeditiously embarked on several initiatives to ensure prudent exploitation and utilization of resources to achieve lasting benefits for the country. One of these initiatives is national content development and production, which entails national participation in the petroleum subsector through the use of locally produced goods and services, as well as local human resources. The country has therefore put in place robust policies, legal and regulatory frameworks to ensure the optimum value is derived from the activities undertaken in the petroleum subsector. These include the National Oil and Gas Policy of 2008, whose goal is to use the country's oil and gas resources to contribute to high achievement of poverty eradication and create lasting value to society. The upstream and medium stream petroleum laws of 2013, regulations of national content, procurement procedures, environment, etc., to operationalize sections of the law. The national content policy, strategy and plan. These developments and the conducive investment climate have created significant opportunities for businesses to establish and flourish in the country, as well as creating opportunities for nationals to provide goods and services to the industry. In 2010, government undertook a study on Ugandan local content development strategies for the oil and gas sector that will promote indigenous private sector service provision and competitiveness. The study identified constraints that are likely to disadvantage Ugandan businesses and employment in the sector. The key obstacles include lack of skills and competences, limited access to credit, poor institutional support network, inadequate fiscal infrastructure and low level of technology, and lack of indigenous capabilities for technological mastery, among others. The recommendation from this study formed the basis for developing the national content policy, strategy, and plan. The policy is underpinned by 4 focus areas of capacity building, employment of Ugandans, procurement of locally produced or available goods and services, and measurement and monitoring of national content. This policy will be key in guiding the development of national content in the country. Government, with support from the World Bank, undertook a study to establish the gap between supply and demand of labor for the oil and gas industry and identified 8 major objectives of bridging this gap. These focus on both the short and medium-term interventions. The study, dubbed Workforce Skills Development Strategy and Plan, was completed, and the recommendations therein are under implementation. Several other initiatives have so far been undertaken to support the achievement of national participation, notably the establishment of national content unit in the ministry, mobilization of local service providers into an association of Ugandan oil and gas service providers, requiring international oil and gas companies to adopt procurement procedures which put into consideration both local and international supply participation, implementing a skilling Ugandan program aimed at reforming the business, technical and vocational training for the sector, among others. The legal framework provides for the employment of Ugandans by oil companies and their contractors and subcontractors, and also requires them to utilize Ugandan goods and services, in addition to giving priority to Ugandan service providers during the tendering process. These initiatives will further be discussed in the subsequent ministry presentation. Government, in collaboration with the licensed oil companies, has commenced the process of developing the Industry Enhancement Center, a national supply database, oil and gas talent register, and the agricultural development project for the Albertine region. These undertakings will be covered in the presentation by licensed oil companies. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no doubt from the ongoing incentives that enhanced local national participation will go a long way in facilitating the transformation of this country into a middle-income economy. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank all organizers for putting together this workshop and the participants for honoring the invitation to attend and participate. Like my friend Honorable Igo, my friend the LC Vice Chairperson of Noya, the lady Honorable from Hoima, and there are many others. So those ones I've seen here. I reiterate government's commitment to the efficient management and development of the oil and gas sector in the country through implementation of the national oil and gas policy for the country, whose goal is to use the country's oil and gas resources to contribute to early achievement of poverty eradication and create lasting value to society. Government will continue to promote and encourage local national participation in the development of the country's natural resources through a spirit of cooperation and mutual benefit. I wish to once again implore all participants present here to support efforts that bring us together to dialogue over issues of national interest, among which the oil is, and also in the area of gas. Let's all work towards the development of an oil and gas sector that we desire. Since my ministry is primarily in this sector, I wish to pledge our support towards these efforts. I wish you fruitful deliberations. Allow now to declare our dialogue open. I thank you. Very good to the people in our country. Thank you very much.
Local participation in the oil and gas sector, experiences and challenges, that is the private sector perspective, and then we shall be winding up with Beyond the Baseline Survey, the Industry Enhancement Center. I'll go to the break, but until then, please, you have earned this break, go and enjoy it. We'll be back in 20 minutes. In the morning, in the first session, we had serious discussion, enlightening discussion on the status of local content policy, framework, and strategy. Now, the second session is going to be matched two issues, very briefly. Local participation in the oil and gas industry. What are the experiences? We shall be having a private sector perspective, which will be delivered in about 15 minutes. And then we shall be closing with Beyond the Baseline Survey, the Industry Enhancement Center, Agricultural Development Initiative, and Supplier Enhancement Program, coming to us from the joint venture partners, that is Total, Tallow, and Sinnock. And both presenters are up front, as you can see. In this sector, what are the experiences and challenges? Is a young man who is an entrepreneur. He's engaged in private business. He is the group managing director of the Bayer Group 1996, from 1996 up to date, which has three-way shipping services. They operate in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and they're the leading local freight forwarder. They also have Three-Way Distribution Limited, which deals in light commercial transport. If you've heard about Transtruck Uganda Limited, which does heavy commercial transport and lifting, this is the person behind it. If you've listened to Touch FM, which is one of the products of Touch Media, he's the person behind it. He's also the Treasurer Chamber of Mines and Petroleum from 2010 up to now, and is a founder member, Association of Uganda Oil and Gas Services Providers. So he is, by all intents and purposes, and by any stretch of definition, a young entrepreneur who seems to be, from all appearances, a going concern. To invite you to put our hands together for Mr. Jeff Baito.
And he asked me the question and I answered him, maybe you can do better by explaining to me. And he goes ahead and says, listen, the West is what it is, America is what it is, China, Japan, because they've accumulated wealth and capital. In Africa, there is no capital accumulation. So all the time, when a disaster happens, we need to call in for help. When leaders leave, they leave with a capital that is required in the continent. So Africa, in a nutshell, has created all the wealth all over us, with the exception of ourselves, to an extent. So capital accumulation to him was a very necessary tool in advancing money's interests. Because with capital, you can do a lot. When colonialism took place, the whole idea was to accumulate capital. Maybe we didn't know, but acquire cheap resources, process them and resell them at a big margin, have a bumper profit,
and keep it somewhere in the bank account, then look for other opportunities to use that money in finance, insurance, transportation, technology, and ABC. So now, how does Africa accumulate wealth? That was my question, or capital. Because we sell our resources cheaply because we can't process them, and we can't do the rest because we don't have the capital to process. So he says, no, Africa can actually accumulate capital through the investments these multinational players bring around. For instance, Uganda is poised to attract $30 billion in terms of the investment for the oil and gas sector. And the only way we can accumulate as capital out of that is by promotion of local content, so that the players in the local content or local players can tap as much money as possible out of these activities, put it into our bank accounts and invest home, rather than waiting for the proceeds that will come out of the royalties or the sale of the material of the oil. Because I can tell you for a fact, most of you will not see any oil money in your pocket. You will just enjoy the benefits associated with it. Good roads, whatever, hospitals, if they come.